Chicago, Illinois, one of my absolute favorite cities, yet a city that when I hear it come up in a lot of debates, it absolutely drives me insane, which specifically gun control debates. So since I'm here, I thought, why not record a couple of thoughts to really dig into that debate, because this city has very strict gun laws, and it is commonly used in the gun control debate that says, look, gun laws don't work. Don't bother passing them anywhere else. Chicago has tons and tons of gun violence. There's no point in passing the laws. Okay, couple of things about that. Number one, we know that the next mass shooting is imminent. It always is in this country. And so the reality is, by not doing anything, we're just saying, you know what, let's just wait and let it happen again. We're resigned to the fact that's going to be an ongoing part of American culture, and people like myself that have looked at the way the world works knows it doesn't have to be. So what can we borrow from the world to understand the situation, and what can we understand from U.S. history why it is the way that it is? Number one, an hour that way is Indiana, which has immensely loose gun laws that are there. It's a prevalent gun culture, in fact, and there's no such thing as a checkpoint between Indiana and here, and so an hour away, I can get as many weapons as I want if I want to go buy and do that legally, because that's the way our country works. So it's not that this city's gun laws don't work, it's that there's free and open access not very far from here. Now again, other countries who are afraid of their neighbors put checkpoints in place. They can see what not just guns but other illicit materials are coming into their places. They can see and strip those things out. We don't do that. So the fact that there's a free open street, road, freeway that can go all the way there and back means I've got an easy pipeline to be able to get weapons here. So the fact is that the gun laws here, it may stop it from buying in the city, which is good, but it still doesn't change the fact that not too far from here is easy access. So the next question that should be asked, why is there so much gun violence in this city? What's the catalyst that's actually prompting people to purchase them in the first place? So here's the thing. This city has a long history with the African American community and population in this country. Lots of it that I can't go into in the time I've got in this video. There's also a very large Latino population that's here. Those populations have been beat up, chewed up, spit out for the entirety of this nation's history. Now look, if I were to make an analogy here, and if you looked at somebody that you knew was an abusive parent, and they beat their kids their entire childhood, and then in that child's adult life, the parent turned to the kid and said, "Why are you so screwed up?" Anybody with context of the situation would say, wow, that's an immensely tone-deaf response to that, because you are the reason that person is so messed up. Now look, this country has not been good to minority communities. I don't think I'm breaking any new ground stating that. It's hardly that great these days. And those populations have a long history of targeted oppression against them. So for this country to look at these communities and say, why are you so messed up? Look, if I was doing something racist, I would want somebody to point it out. It's very easy in a white privileged culture to do things and say things that you may not know has a racial connotation to it. That argument does, because when you look at the populations that are there that have been long oppressed, and then we said, okay, Jim Crow segregation's over with, we're just gonna draw lines for schools and police precincts and community services around your income levels. Rich neighborhoods have rich schools. Poor neighborhoods have poor schools. Rich neighborhoods have cops that are equipped with the best equipment. Poor neighborhoods don't have enough police officers. And there's a long history of violence with minority communities and police officers, especially in this city. And the fact is that when you're in a neighborhood that you don't have enough of a police presence there to deal with the ongoing crime, what ends up happening is police puff out their chest. They act tougher than they are because they're kind of outnumbered. And so there's this vicious circle that is created because you have police officers that do things that make it more violent because they feel they have to for, scaring people and doing all of that, which then in the community itself strains the relationship even further as you go with the racial relations that are there, and nobody wants to back down. People in other neighborhoods don't want to invest into community policing, getting to know the people that are there. There's a reason people turn to gangs in communities when they feel like the police aren't on their side. And so the fact is that unless you invest more and do things to assist communities that have this long history of oppression, there's going to be gang violence, there's going to be things that take place, and when you have easy access to weapons just up the road, that's why you get a lot of gang violence and violent gun violence in the area. The fact is that it's really simplistic to say, oh, look, Chicago has gun laws, that's why gun control doesn't work, because of the violence level. But it is 100% devoid of the history. It's 100% devoid of understanding that there's things right up the street that can make that really terrible. So the next time you see the argument come out, and the next time there's a mass shooting, which, you know, looking at my watch, it could be any time, because this is America in 2019. I know that the argument will come up, look at Chicago. And I will say to people, yes, look at Chicago and the ugly history that needs to be changed.